President of Parliament, Sarah Westcott Williams, spoke at the 163rd Anniversary Emancipation Day 2026. Funtopia Youth Initiative Foundation concludes Summer Cultural Exchange Program in Sabah with Inspiring Youth Showcase. James Finney's public question to Bonaire's Lieutenant Governor Soliano. Does your duty lie with The Hague or with the human rights of the people of Bonaire? The political and parliamentary poll of the Presidency of the Republic will discuss the institutional evolution of Saint Martin. From the island of Saint Martin, this is SXM Daily News for July 21st, 2026. President of Parliament Sarah Westcott Williams spoke at the 163rd Anniversary Emancipation Day 2026. Grounded. Not grounded on an electrical mat, as many advertisements today state, but grounded on this soil, on this ground. Dignitaries' family. Friends today gathered to commemorate one of the most defining moments in our history, the abolition of slavery. And today, we honor those whose freedom was denied, whose dignity endured despite unimaginable hardships, and whose resilience but whose resilience laid a foundation.
After such beautiful renditions and such beautiful recollections of this day, #Grounded is my personal response to the call about individual reflection on this day in our history. Grounded. Not grounded on an electrical mat, as many of the advertisements today state, but grounded on this soil, on this ground. Dignitaries, family, friends, today we gather to commemorate one of the most defining moments in our history, the abolition of slavery. And today we honor those whose freedom was denied, whose dignity endured despite unimaginable hardships, and whose resilience, but whose resilience laid the foundation upon which we stand today. So many before have spoken about the fact that emancipation is more and should be viewed as more than just an event in our history. Because for Saint Martin, emancipation represented the beginning of an ongoing journey, and we're still in that journey and on that journey today. It has been a journey towards opportunity, justice, self-determination, and nation building. And every generation has faced its own defining moment. Our foreparents survived slavery. Those who came after had to rebuild families, re-establish communities, and take care of livelihoods. Others fought for universal suffrage, the right to vote, and select and elect those persons to represent us. Others fought for better education, stronger institutions, and ultimately a constitutional status for our country. Each generation, every act added another stone to the foundation upon which we now stand today. So yes, in first instance, honor our ancestors. Because today, we face different challenges, and many of them. We might not wear chains, but these challenges test us nevertheless. Economic uncertainty, social division, the pressures of globalization for such a small country like ours, climate change, not to forget technology, and the responsibility of governing ourselves. All of these require courage, wisdom, and the resilience upon which we are building. Fortunately, however we look at it, resilience has always been part of who we are, time and time again, because our history teaches us perseverance. Our diversity teaches us acceptance, and our smallness should teach us ingenuity. Our shared experiences teach us compassion, a compassion we should hold on to beyond the experiences. But these qualities are also what must guide us into the future. So as we do so, let us also recognize and respect the traditional Saint Martin, the families whose roots run deep in this soil. And you have realized I paused as I continue. Who preserved our heritage, our language and customs through generations. Let us also embrace the new Saint Martin, those who have chosen this island as their home and who now should contribute to its future. Because our strength has never been found in choosing one over the other. It has always been found in building one community from many stories. And perhaps that too is a form of emancipation. The freedom to preserve our identity while welcoming others. The freedom to honor our past without becoming imprisoned by it. And the freedom to build a future worthy of those who came before us. May we continue to draw strength from our ancestors, inspiration from our past leaders, and confidence from the resilience that has carried St. Martin through every defining moment. And may future generations look back on us as the generation that used its freedom wisely. Let us begin by establishing, and this is the promise, by establishing such simple yet meaningful and defining attributes, namely our national tree to be officially established, the flamboyant tree, the July tree, the tree of freedom. Let us establish the St. Martin dialect as a language that we honor and respect. Are these promises too much to give to our ancestors? I thank you. Happy Emancipation Day.
Marigot had the pleasure of meeting at the Élysée Frédéric Rose, the Presidential Cabinet Director, Olivier Jacob, the Overseas Advisor to the Head of State, and Diobel Gobin, the Advisor to the Political and Parliamentary Pole of the Presidency of the Republic, to discuss the institutional evolution of Saint Martin. This working meeting is part of the continuity of the measures undertaken since the beginning of this mandate to evolve our institutional framework and better adapt it to the realities of our territory. Our ambition is clear: to give Saint Martin more tools adapted to its specifics, to strengthen our capacity for action and better meet the expectations of the people of Saint Martin. I thank the teams of the President of the Republic for their listening and the quality of these exchanges in the service of the future of Saint Martin.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
DCOM presentation, Justice Day, St. Martin Church Service and Parade. 2026, Reverend Patmore Henry spoke to justice workers.
Is it not fair to suggest that we live amid partiality and unfairness? And even as we honor the concept of justice, we see many examples of corruption of justice. So what is justice? Justice has to do with conduct in relation to others. Justice has to do with our conduct in relation to others. So therefore, justice is relational, not just institutional. Just behavior accords with what is morally right and morally fair. Justice is the quality of doing what is right. Justice is a major theme in Scripture. Scripture is full of commands that humans should act justly. This includes acting on behalf of those whose rights are being denied and those who are powerless to defend themselves. So here are some of those commands in the Bible. Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's case. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17. Next, thus says the Lord, do justice and righteousness, and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed. And do no wrong or violence to the resident alien, the fatherless, and the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place. Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 3. Next, defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. Psalm chapter 82, verse 3 to 4. Let us then see what Leviticus has to say to us. First, justice includes material concern for the poor. Verse 9 and 10. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to the very edge of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not strip your vineyard bare or gather the falling grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the alien. According to Leviticus, the poor were the landless people who had no means of survival apart from the mercy of others in the community. They were the vulnerable poor, as they are called in sociology. Leviticus instructs that we must give the poor an opportunity to survive. And I believe everyone here in justice would agree receiving an opportunity to survive is justice. If you do not have an opportunity to survive, then injustice is being exercised against you. Second, justice requires absolute honesty in every dealing. Verse 11 and 12. You shall not steal, you shall not deal falsely, you shall not lie to one another, and you shall not swear falsely by my name, profaning the name of your God. You shall not defraud your neighbor, you shall not keep for yourself the wages of a laborer until morning.
We have more on Now You Know with Valerie Van Putten, Guest Deputy Director of SCV, Elton Felici.
Now, financial sustainability and social protection can sometimes feel like they're pulling in opposite directions.
You just gave an example.
Yeah, exactly. Has there been a moment in developing this strategy where the team had to make a genuinely difficult choice between what is financially prudent and what feels right for the people you serve? How did you navigate that? And you kind of explain that, but how do you still try to navigate? Because there's always going to be, no one is ever going to be. You're not going to have a community that everybody is satisfied or happy with the changes that you're trying to implement here.
So we have to make sure that first we take care of what we have. And once we do that, then we can discuss about the potential extension that, and we know that the care is needed. We know that the care is needed. So I can say it's like this. It's very simple. You have a pie. It's this big. It's either you make it bigger by increasing the premium, or you have to slice
it thinner
for everybody to get a
A
portion
piece of it.
Yes, exactly. And that's where we are right now in that process. And sometimes you understand that there's a need, but there's also a financial consequence for the need. And right now we are really busy with, okay, how we can improve the financial sustainability, because what we don't want is that you wake up and you go to your GP, there's no money and there's no service. So it's a balancing act. So it's a constant balancing act, and how you approach and you also communicate to your stakeholders. That's also very, very important in the process.
Government owes you a lot of money.
Yes.
That says it all. If it was, how are you planning, or what can be done to at least lower, have them pay something to kind of increase your revenue so that you can do the things you need to do?
There are ways that, as I mentioned, the measures. There
okay,
are.
let's talk about
Yes.
your you see the CFO, Chief Medical Officer, and the Social Insurance Officer,
Yes.
as well as you. You're a team, so you get together. So have you come up with any ways of trying to get something out of?
We try everything.
Okay.
We try everything.
Now that you haven't tried.
No, now that we haven't tried, I think, as I mentioned, we're in discussion with government since 2012.
You haven't been successful, but you've tried.
But we quite close, at least. One of the things that we discussed with government was after COVID that they had the levy for, no, it's not a levy, it was actually insurance that, tourists that wanted to visit St. Martin had to pay to be insured for COVID. And then the idea was, okay, why not do a levy by which we use those same amounts to a certain extent to help cover some of the deficit of healthcare costs, right? And that is one of the initiatives that I think is quite far. And that once that is also being enacted, is a way to help with the safety net for the population, right? So before you even think on increasing the premiums, you try to get extra fund via other means, right? And in this case, we have a very well organized health system on the island. It also helps the tourists, when they get sick, that we take care of them. So why not also they contribute a little bit higher also in regards to making sure that, all the facilities are there. So that's a way of thinking, that we develop, we discuss with government, and I must say this went to different governments.
Exactly.
So it didn't stop
Exactly.
with because we have a new government that, it was a good idea. It's a way to, because everybody understand that, hey, it's important for these social safety net to be financially sustainable, right? And of course, you don't want to make more pressure on the population, so you try to figure out ways to get more revenue into it. Yes. So just to give an example, and those are discussions we have within our team, and also with government constantly. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes the structural change takes time, but you have to be patient, and you have to keep communicating. You have to keep explaining, etc., etc. So that helps. So that's a very good question. What we are doing right now is one of the things that we developed actually very, very fast was our employer portal. I think the employer portal is very crucial to our success. And what we did with it is we given services to businesses, and they can see also even their outstanding 24/7. And also if they find that we give them the wrong assessment, they'll be able to send a protest letter in the portal, and we handle those, etc. One of the things that we realized is because of that, we were able to do also more communication with businesses. So if they forget to send in their monthly, we automatically send a reminder by email, and it's in the portal also, because the portal has a message board that you can, look into and follow and so forth. And I must say that is the team of finance and levy, together with our communication team, are the ones that are really pushing it. And I must say the businesses are very, very happy with the employer portal. Okay. So a lot of them was like, okay, there's not a lot of parking spot by SZV. Now I can do my payments, I can do a payment arrangement, I can do XYZ, all of it in it. So that they're very happy in that regard. Now, after a couple of years trying to collect money, and if we see that the corporation is not there, what we're doing is we're doing a little bit extra, what they call hard measures of collection. A lot of people don't like it, but as we mentioned, if everybody doesn't contribute, it will not help us be able to provide a social safety net for the community. So in those cases, we are a little bit more aggressive. I think some of the businesses on the island also are feeling it a little bit, but it's we never do this without really trying to reach a good compromise with, because we understand if you run a business, there is a time that one of your vendors will not pay you, right? And if they don't pay you, you might say, okay, government and SZV, we're not going to pay you this month. So we understand that. So we're not going to go and close down a business just because of that. But if it becomes structural, let's say after 2 or 3 years, you sign one payment agreement, you don't comply, then you sign another one, you don't comply, then you sign another one, then it's okay, are you really serious about it? Or is it you're trying to get away with not paying premiums? So in those cases are the cases that we really are going a little bit harder behind the businesses. Yeah. So we have to make sure that they also contribute.
Now for the weather forecast. Tonight through Wednesday midday, partly cloudy with isolated showers. Surface winds, today through Wednesday midday, east to southeast with a light to moderate breeze at 4 to 14 mm'm. State of the sea, smooth to slight. Waves to swells, 1 to 4 feet. Outlook through Thursday midday, partly cloudy with isolated showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
James Finney's, founder of the Bonaire Human Rights Organization and leader of Partido Pueblo Progresivo, has issued an objection letter to Bonaire's Lieutenant Governor, Mr. John Soliano, expressing concern over proposed Dutch legislation that would empower the Lieutenant Governors of Bonaire, Sint Eustatius, and Saba to order the removal of online content deemed to threaten public order. Finney's expresses that granting such powers to a single, appointed, non-democratically elected official, without prior court authorization or involvement of the justice system, would place powers resembling those of a colonial administrator or authoritarian ruler, rather than those expected in a democratic society governed by the rule of law. Finney's open letter to Lieutenant Governor Soliano was a follow-up to his earlier letter of 28 June 2026, addressed to the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, the Minister of Justice and Security, members of the Dutch Parliament, and the Human Rights Council, expressing serious concern over expanding Dutch criminal legislation on criminalizing the glorification of terrorism and public expression in Bonaire. Saba, with a population of approximately 2,000, Sint Eustatius, with approximately 3,000, and Bonaire in 2004, with about 1,000 people now in 25,000 inhabitants, have long remained peaceful and hospitable Caribbean communities with no significant terrorist activity that would justify such sweeping restrictions. The UN Special Rapporteur on Counterterrorism and Human Rights has repeatedly warned that overly broad terrorism laws can suppress dissent, restrict civic participation, criminalize legitimate political expression, and must never be used to justify expanding state control over public discourse or undermining fundamental freedoms. Finney stresses that the issue extends far beyond social media. The people of Bonaire have seen their democratic choice and collective decisions silenced, their human rights denied, and their island placed under external governance in a constitutional status they did not freely choose. The people of Bonaire remain governed from The Hague without an effective voice or representation in the decisions that shape their laws, institutions, rights, and future. Andy Burnham pledged to bring back hope to Britain as he began his tenure as Prime Minister by appointing Labour stalwart John Healey as Chancellor. In his first speech to the nation in Downing Street, Burnham said he wanted to bring forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years to British politics. He outlined his intention to unveil a 10-year new plan for Britain later this year, explaining this would lay out a path to where he believes we all want Britain to be.
The new UK Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is preparing to set out cost of living support to give households breathing space as he begins his first full day as Prime Minister. In a few hours, he'll also chair his first cabinet meeting. Mr Burnham has made key cabinet appointments over the last few hours, replacing or moving many of the ministers who worked for his predecessor, Sir Keir Starmer. The post of Chancellor has gone to John Healey, who resigned last month as Defence Secretary in a row over military spending. A former leader of the Labour Party, Ed Miliband, has been given the role of Foreign Secretary. He replaces Yvette Cooper, who's now been appointed Health Secretary. Shabana Mahmood, who's pursued a tough line on immigration, will stay on as Home Secretary. Well, Andy Burnham has promised a new political and economic model, saying Britain needed to show the world that it could regain stability. Here's our political correspondent, Jack Fenwick.
Most Labour MPs had expected one of these two to get the job of Chancellor, but instead a surprise face was spotted heading towards Downing Street yesterday afternoon.
Where are you off to, Mr Healey? Have you got a new job?
John Healey resigned as Defence Secretary just a few weeks ago because he was unhappy about how much funding the Treasury was willing to give the armed forces. Now he'll be the one tasked with those difficult spending decisions.
Fiscal control is the first duty of any Chancellor. It is mine. And fiscal credibility is the bedrock for economic stability and for national security. And you heard the Prime Minister say, in this more dangerous world, we will meet our commitments on defence to our international allies.
As for the favourites, Shabana Mahmood will stay on as Home Secretary, and Ed Miliband is now the Foreign Secretary. So what about the rest of Burnham's newly appointed top team? Wes Streeting, who had been a potential leadership rival, becomes the Defence Secretary. Angela Rayner has gone back to her old job as Housing Secretary, where she'll be tasked with following through on the PM's pledges to end rough sleeping and build record numbers of council houses. Lucy Powell, the Labour Party's deputy leader, is now the Education Secretary, another area picked out by Burnham as a priority. Yvette Cooper has been given a demotion from Foreign Secretary to Health, but could now oversee a much talked about reform of the social care system. And Louise Haigh, arguably Andy Burnham's closest political ally, becomes First Secretary of State, the de facto Deputy Prime Minister. The new PM has promised unity within the Labour Party, though many of those sacked yesterday were notable Starmer loyalists. He's also spoken about economic growth in all areas of the country. The Conservatives have already cast doubt on that.
His analysis of where things need to go is wrong.
Sure.
And if you ask any business out there, what is the challenge at the moment? They are overtaxed, there is no growth, and I don't see anything that he's saying that's actually grasped that as the fundamental problem, because if we do not get growth in this country, he's not going to be able to do all these lovely things that he's pledging.
Andy Burnham's other priority last night was calling other international leaders. The first of those was with President Trump, who said the two had a very good conversation in which they discussed North Sea oil, trade, the military alliance and the Strait of Hormuz, and wished him good luck in the new job. So a busy day one. Andy Burnham's made it clear that day two will see a focus on the cost of living and the support he can offer to families across the UK. Jack Fenwick, BBC News, Westminster.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.